are live. Boom. Welcome, Anastasia, to WooJin's podcast. I appreciate you coming over. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. So, we had a chance to craft some of the questions to discuss for today. I want to first start off with human nature and human condition. So, here's our first question. You ready? Is free will real or just an illusion?
Is free will real or just an illusion?
Yes.
I think that free will is kind of real to some extent. I mean, it also depends on what you understand under free will. Could you maybe tell me what you mean by that?
So, we would have to define free will. Okay. Well, in terms of, I feel like if I was like a psychology student, I would think that there is no such thing called free will. Free will is an illusion because every single cause, every single event that has occurred, it starts from a cause. So for me,
Okay.
my personal take on free will is that you are conscious of environmental factors and just all of the inputs that influence your behavior, but free will is feeling as if you have power over the decisions you make. For me, that's free will. I don't know if that's
Right.
does yeah. I don't know if that's the definition you wanted, but that's how I consider free will. It's the ability to make conscious decisions while acknowledging that there are external influences that aren't within your control.
Yeah, and if our consciousness kind of help us to make these decisions, that means maybe that free will actually exists, so it's not an illusion entirely. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, because of course there there is something that will influence it, but if you kind of can manage subconsciously and consciously, then probably free will do exist.
Which one do you think? Which one are you leaning more towards? Do you think free will
I'm,
is real, or do you think it's just a real?
I think it's real. I think it's real.
And
Yeah.
how so?
No, because like if you're consciously doing this, if you're consciously making decisions,
Mm-hmm.
that brings you to the point um, that you have this free will of making decisions, right?
But what if like it could be explained by that there were inputs. It was aligned for you to play that. It's kind of like a movie script that's being handed to you, and no matter what happens, you were already predetermined to take those sequence of events.
Predetermined.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, certain things that are not within our control is where we grew up on, like where we were born, the location, like demographic, our gender. Those things are not within our control, right? So, based on that has a big impact on how we kind of carry ourselves out. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
So, so what fascinates me about free will is that, like, sure there are influences, but how much of it is determined by myself. Going kind of back to identity, like how much of consciousness allows me to make the decisions that I want.
Exactly, that's the question that you're asking, like how much.
Right.
So that means that to at some extent
Mm-hmm.
you still have it. You still have this free will. Maybe not entirely, of course, because of influences, because of where you've been born and stuff like that. But then if you can even ask like how much
Mm-hmm.
do I actually have it on my own,
Mm-hmm.
that means that at least some part you actually have. Plus, if throughout your whole life you can actually change the way you think and you can change the way you perceive
Mm-hmm.
the world around you,
Mm-hmm.
that actually, in my opinion, also changes the way you make decisions. So it's kind of flexible as well.
Okay, so it's not inherently just upon your input. You're talking about that there are external influences that affect your internal self, right? So which
Mhm.
makes me question, like, you're for me, free will, it's like an individualistic term. I don't think it should be. This is so hard to explain. Uh, I don't know how much of external influences impact your will, if that makes sense. So if you
Mhm.
could maybe give like a percentage based off like out of 100, how much do you think? How much weight would you give external factors that aren't within your control, and how much would you personally give your internal take, like what you are in control of? What would be the percentage ratio?
Well, my internal will be definitely less, of course,
Mm.
less than external. Maybe like 30 internal, 70
Oh wow.
external. Yeah.
And
A
which
lot of
one?
what?
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, no, no. A lot of what? Like a lot. 30 is a lot, or 70 is a lot.
Yeah, I thought 70 was a lot. Like I wanted to know what you were leaning more in towards. So if you could have a preference of having like a majority, would you rather have a majority, meaning more than 50% of your with your control, or external control?
My control, of course.
Yeah. So we want
Yeah.
to get to a point where that 30% is increased to more than 50%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What? Right? What? Why? I mean, is it quite obvious? Like, wouldn't you like to have more control over life and
Yeah.
able to?
No, it reminds me that innately every human desire like form of control. Like I think even this, it shows our desire to be free in a way, because inherently it's control over our lives, and it can this relates me to the yin and yang between order and chaos. Like I feel like order is more internal control, whereas external influences could be categorized as chaos. So just relating those two. Yeah.
Mhm.
And do you think that mindfulness allows oneself to have more free will?
Yes, I think it's very much correlated.
And what practices of mindfulness do you practice?
Like, to be honest, I'm not very consistent in it, even though I think that persons should be consistent in such things as, for example, meditation. That what I usually do, but it's not like I would put some, YouTube video for 10 minutes and do the guided meditation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just try to just turn on my consciousness whenever it's possible. Like if I'm washing the dishes, I'm like, okay, I'm washing the dishes right now, and I'm just trying to be in the present. So basically, for me, meditation means, and mindfulness, aka being in the present. So whatever you're doing, even the way you talk, the way you think, even,
Mm-hmm.
um, it can be like full mindful. So yeah, basically meditation meaning that you just try to acknowledge what's going on right now, right here, with your thoughts and with your doings, deeds.
And how do you define consciousness?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. I've never thought of that. How do I define it? Consciousness. Consciousness is something that allows us to be able to make decisions in alignment with our values, I think.
Making decisions based on our alignment.
You understand what I'm saying?
A little. Can we give an example of how that would play out in real life scenarios? So what would an alignment be like? Would that be like your ideal version that you want to live in?
Ideal version is that I'm making decisions
Mm-hmm.
with alignment, uh, with alignment with my values.
Right. So what are
So,
what are certain values that you are aligned with?
um, think for me, one of the most important values is honesty, family, and honesty, family, and maybe like a will to help others if possible.
Okay. So basing off that, your decisions are supposed to align with family, helping others, and I forgot the another example that you gave
Honesty,
on
honesty.
honesty. So those three is kind of like the moral compass that guides you into making better decisions by reminding yourself of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, those three values are a little bit from different dimensions or something because I mean, honesty and then family. I mean, of course, there are more to that. It's just the words for now.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, of course, they have much more background than just a word. And it's like a full picture of what goes inside of each value, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then the best scenario, if I make all my decisions just trying to like check in with myself, is it in alignment with my, you know, with my values?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay for me to do so? Or am I going against myself right now? Or am I trying to please someone right now?
Mm.
Or, you know, something like that.
And where do you think your values come from?
I don't know. They come from probably my childhood. They come from the environment I grew up. They come from my friends, from social media, definitely, from everywhere. But what's important is that I think that values they can change
Mm-hmm.
throughout our lives,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the influences. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I think values are meant to be changed. I think it's supposed to be mutable for hopefully to create I guess the best possible version of you. But once you stay obsolete, I think that's like a big fear of mine personally. Yeah.
Mm.
So values are crucial. All right. Let's see. All right. We started off with free will. Now we're jumping into the second question. What is your meaning of life? Yeah.
If I knew, oh my God, what is the meaning of life? What's the meaning of life? Be happy. Be happy as much as possible. Although, like, being happy, what is that? Is it emotion just? Or is it a state? What is that? Also needs to be defined, I guess. But I guess when I say being happy, that means just do what you really love and be surrounded by people who you really love. And that probably is a perfect formula to be happy.
Yeah. But I feel like maybe that's like a very cliche way that definition that society kind of adopts. I mean, of course, like no matter how cliche, maybe it applies to your life, but I want to know your meaning of life. Like, what do you think it's, or maybe you haven't found it, which is completely fine. But do you still have like a sense of direction at least of what you want to do? Like maybe it's a legacy, maybe it's aligned going back to the decisions you make, the high quality decisions you make with your families. So, I mean, with aligned with your values, like such as serving your family, making sure you are speaking the truth, and also it was doing good to others. So, do you think your values it gives you meaning?
Yes, values gives me meaning in life, of course. They're like leading stars. They just help out to, you know,
Yeah.
to go with the course.
Mm-hmm. But
But
mhm.
yeah, but like, yeah, I know that it sounds quite cliche, like being happy and then be surrounded by the people who you love and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's to me, it's just the meaning of life. I mean, why would you live your life if you're not happy? Doesn't make any sense.
I think
And to
there's.
me, have
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's okay. What you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to bring up that I don't think life is all about. I think it's good that everyone has the idea of pursuing happiness, but I think there's so much value in our, like, in terms of our genetics. Our bodies aren't designed to be in such a comfortable state. You know, it requires stress because our bodies are designed to overcome that, overcome adversity. I think there there's meaning to suffering. I really value, um, also like the dark aspects of human nature, because it provides meaning for me. So of course, happy, like all of that state is also really valuable, but it's even more valuable if you experience the complete opposite. Because think about it, if you don't know sadness, do you know what happiness is?
That's true, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I really resonated with Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he's like,
Mhm.
he's a concentration camp like survivor, and he talks about how you have to like define the meaning of life for yourself. There is no one definite answer, and I really want to kind of like spread this. Is that if life was a zero sum game, like if there was one goal, like let's say that there is only one God, then everybody would be doing their best to try to satisfy that one God, or try to get that one job, whatever money, whatever you're competing about, that will be like your definite goal. And what's next after you achieve that? Like there, usually in a game, there's two sides, and I really like the idea that you have to constantly provide meaning to it, or else it doesn't create, it doesn't mean anything. So it gives you a lot of responsibility, but also going back to how you're talking about consciousness, it gives you more control over your life once you liberate yourself that life isn't about pursuing one thing, one sole thing. And as you were
Mm.
saying, like it's constantly about inputs and outputs. We have external influences that changes our values and stuff. So all of the experiences, it's I want to constantly welcome them, because it allows you to grow. And growing, I think it's a big part of evolution, and part of providing meaning in life. That's how I come to understand it as of now, but I'm sure it will change over time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I pretty much resonate with what you're saying, actually.
Yeah.
I think that, like, growth in general, in something that brings value to life. Yeah, that's,
Yeah. Do you think though that growth is always good? Like that progress, the idea of progress. We're constantly making progress whether we like it or not, as humanity, as a civilization as a whole. But where do you think we're headed? Where do you envision, if I may tap into your imagination, where do you, when I say the word future, or like progress and growth, what pops up into your mind? Is it like flying cars? Is it is it robots? What pops into your mind?
I think it traveling throughout the universe, just exploring the space more and more, which is just like insane.
So like Cowboy
But when I
Bebop
think of it,
style, we're going to be a multi-planetary species. You think?
kind of something kind of like that. I mean, I can't really imagine it, but I just think that it will be like that.
Mm.
And yeah, but how much time will it take? I have no idea. Although it's going so fast lately, so maybe it's really the nearest future.
Yeah, I think humans, we're not really good at predicting the future. Like we believe that we're gonna have flying cars back like 20, 30 years ago. We don't have that. But even those small incremental changes, though, that impact, it's a huge gain for us. And I think it's worth pondering about which direction we want to head towards, as we're headed towards more and more complexities. And also information that could you could leverage that in terms of like where you personally want to head to, and knowing more about this world we currently live in. Yeah. But what fascinates me is the idea that like a lot of these technologies that's being created, um, for example, the blockchain technology, it's something that I'm very very hopeful about, as well as like artificial intelligence, because it's pretty much a new network that could allow transparency to happen and kind of replacing the government system as well as like company bureaucracies, which has too much power. So I think I could talk about it. I think I have enough knowledge to talk about it, and my apologies if it doesn't make sense. So how I like to think of the internet like stage first was like the Web 1.0. This was kind of like the encyclopedia. Um, and then we have Web 2.0, which is currently what we're using at the moment. I think it started in the early 2000s. And this is how really big corporations such as Facebook, it's like it created more of a consumer to consumer um, platform where we willingly are giving our private information to these corporations to better serve us. But the bad thing, the downside is that Facebook, for example, has way too much power. They figured out how to package that and to sell our information to different companies. And what Web 3.0, this is like lightly like talked upon, is the use cases of blockchain technology, which is going to be, it's a bunch of ideas. It's through the use of DAO, which is uh, wait, decentralized autonomous organization. So it's not going to be like one sole power. We're going to remove all the middlemen, such as banks, companies in general. So it's going to be me, like peer-to-peer network. So me and you
Mm.
are going to be just transacting like information without, for example, like we have to use when we use Uber or Airbnb, we're using like their services and we're providing fees and they're capturing the economic rents. But if we didn't have that, imagine how cool that would be. And there would be, of course, there's going to be fraud. There's a lot of things that's going to happen, but I want to the use cases of that, such as like um, removing intermediaries, increasing efficiency. The idea of that really excites me because I also think about healthcare, the bureaucracy, as well as the not so transparent documents, as well as like supply chain issues. I think once we kind of jump on those ideas and then see that slowly being implemented into our society, it's going to tenfold our efficiency and just improve the betterment of our daily lives. And kind of seeing that in progress and seeing the use cases, it gets me so excited that we're living through the
When do you
time.
think sorry,
Go ahead.
when do you think it's gonna happen?
I mean, it's happening right now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like this is it isn't going to be like boom, like oh my gosh, we have flying cars. It's not going to. We're slowly going to adapt over these technologies. How we are like putting like pretty much. I consider myself as a bionic. Like I need as a cyborg. Like I spend my time, majority of my time, with technology that I don't really understand too much, but it allows me to get the work I need to it helps me get it done. So I think we're slowly going to be adapting. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't almost like live without it. I can't envision a world without it. Like it's going to be slowly adapted into our daily lives. So I can't give you a definite. I'm no, I'm not the one I'm not the one working on it. But it's that, like looking from the sidelines, it's it gives me a huge inspiration for like future generation, and it makes me genuinely happy that people are like. It seems like it's like a net positive to the world, increasing communication flow, information. Because I really believe in education. Like over time, like over the past like year, I've been really appreciating for the power it has. But I was way too close minded. Yeah, so sorry about the tangent that I went on. I just I've been just playing around with the idea, and I just had to let it out. But
Oh, I completely understand.
yeah, um, let's talk about automation maybe a little bit. How replaceable do you think you are?
In what sense replaceable?
Let's say, okay, so you are Anna. Do you think there could be another Anna that could substitute you in society?
I mean, in society,
Mm-hmm.
yes, because like as a working unit, of course,
Okay.
like definitely yes. As a student, yes. As a mother, probably even yes. But as a unique, as a unique mixture of my emotions, experiences, and everything I went through,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Okay. So what makes you unique is the memories and experiences that you have developed over time.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so cool.
What you Yeah, what you think? Isn't it the same? What makes you unique?
Um, that's a good question. I think I would agree that my set of experiences is quite unique as well, but I think I'm 100% replaceable by all means, and I don't think, like as you were saying, as maybe even a father, a worker, a student, by all means, there's always going to be someone better. But I think the experiences that I've had and my perspective on certain ideas and on certain things in general, I think makes me unique, or I like to believe so. Maybe this is all a simulation, Rena, and yeah, we're programmed to believe that we are unique. But yeah, I want to be an optimist and practice it by stating that I am unique. I am. I mean, we are. Like our code is, our DNA code is for sure is. I'm completely different than you, uh, and so forth. But yeah, I think experiences and your perspective it's what makes you unique. But again, like this goes back to like free will. How much was of this was like quote unquote predetermined? I don't know.
A lot of that, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what two questions would you ask to get the most information about who a person truly is? So, when you approach a person, what are two questions that you would ask to get to extract the most information from them?
What are your values? The first one, and maybe do you know what consciousness is?
Okay, so yeah,
Going
well,
back to our
yeah, we talked
conversation,
about these
I
two
just
questions,
remember
but I
this.
still don't know you. Yeah, I think that's a good starting point, though. I think that's for sure a good starting point. But I think consciousness, like, not everybody knows or understands. Like, even with science, we don't know what it is. It's kind of like a spirit almost like God. We don't. It's really abstract, is what I'm trying to say. So
Exactly.
how would you extract information for someone who doesn't know that what consciousness is? Because I surely didn't. I wasn't conscious. Like maybe I was, but I was truly just reacting for the majority of my life. So how about the people that doesn't understand what the term consciousness even means? How would you describe it?
Well,
Would you?
to me it will say a lot about this person already. Like I'm not even sure if I'm gonna go any further to drag any more information from this person, because to me it's gonna be like a kind of like a bottom line maybe.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because I mean, of course, like there are like tons of people don't know what consciousness is. They don't even know that it exists, like that there is subconsciousness and consciousness, and they
It's a
basically
privilege.
actually can influence something, and
Mm-hmm.
and before, like maybe 1 year ago or so, I had no idea whatsoever. I was completely like automatic. I was doing everything automatically, and I don't think that at that point I was really, I don't know, Actually, coming back to our previous questions, like about if it's possible
Yeah.
to replace a person or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's quite um, it's easier to replace a person without who's not
Okay.
aware of subconsciousness and not
Right.
consciousness.
Okay, so I have a question for you. You redefined
Yeah,
consciousness earlier as decisions based upon alignment with your values. Do you think everyone has values? Even a little kid has values? So in that sense, like if you're now saying that if you are not conscious, you are replaceable, then we should have all the kids wiped out. We don't need, you know? I think
Ah,
everybody
wow.
progresses differently. I don't think it would be right
Indeed.
to just because that you have consciousness, it doesn't make you more superior. I don't think that's yeah, that's my personal take. Like it's our duty if you are conscious to help others to allow them to like empower them to think for themselves. It shouldn't be leverage that I am more aware than you. I don't think so.
No, no, no. I'm not saying about leveraging it. Of course, like helping out to understand
Okay.
what is consciousness.
Yeah.
Is a great. That's what parents do to their children in order to get them more conscious, I guess, about themselves.
Uh huh.
Uh, but like, do kids have values? I do. I think they do.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
You think
I think
so?
they do. Like they might have like they might have values as um like like something abstract like beauty, for example, right?
Okay.
And then they would like paint all their walls in their rooms so that
Mm-hmm.
it would make it so beautiful. Or like creativity,
Mm.
and then they will be like always creative and trying to be creative as much as possible, and they will be trying to do as much as possible in
Mm-hmm.
alignment with that value.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I was trying to give myself like examples of I was upholding my current values with like my kid self, the crazy wild one. I was like, yeah, I don't know where where I was going, um, but I think the abstract self that makes sense. Like every human is innately desires beautiful things, um, so I do agree that there are abstract like values that even kids could have, although it may not be as precise. I think abstractly, I think so. That's a good point. All right, here's the next question: does jealousy have value in driving humans to improve themselves, or is it purely a negative emotion?
Definitely can be positive.
Yeah,
It can be a good driver to improve yourself.
done in balance. Can you give us an example of how?
How?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just, I mean, even like, I shouldn't go very far. Some people might watch you and be kind of jealous of you doing such work of 12 hours per day. They would be jealous because they can't have it now. But
Oh, okay.
they can be inspired in that way and get themselves better
Mm-hmm.
and better and better and better,
Mm-hmm.
just relying on the example of you.
Right. That's a good point because I struggle a lot with like negative emotions, jealousy being a common one, especially when I see certain people on a higher like rank, whatever game I'm playing inside my mind in terms of wealth, in terms of like it could be anything, but wealth, like education, just
Okay,
like
okay.
just terms that like it's something that I desire because like but I think you nailed it down. You have to reframe your mind into thinking that it's like if this is possible, let's think about like what I can do, and if you can rewire your mind to think of like to cope with negative emotions and to rewire that as like inspiration, then that could serve you.
Yes.
But that's yeah, it takes a lot of time, and I surely don't have it mastered or will so, but it's a constant practice that you need to recognize those negative emotions because it's so easy to come and just to be subjected by it, like have it kind of own you. But I agree. You could take inspiration from it, or you could hate it.
I mean, it's also kind of like important to acknowledge the fact that it's normal to have such negative emotions as jealousy, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, jealousy is just a gap. It's just a gap telling you that you want this and you are here, and here's a gap. The question is what you're gonna do with it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's it. That's about the jealousy. That's it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a great thing. It's a driver that what makes us like it's a competition driver.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great thing. I use it.
Especially people, I feel like in the top of the hierarchy that are competing against, there's always going to be better, smarter people. But like in terms of scientists, for example, if they need a certain grant, they need to like do more against their peers. Like at the time, that may be a little like too much pressure, too insane. But in the grand scheme of things, like that is what helps fuel this machine that we're currently living in to create more complexities in a way. But I think it has to be done in check for sure. Because without like when not done in check, only just pursuing the negative emotion just to get to a goal, that could be really dangerous because there's no end to it. New goals like you have to write the correct like, questions. Not correct. I don't think there is such thing. Maybe there is like wrong questions, but it's constantly about asking mm, different, I guess, different questions, different and wide questions because it gives you new perspectives and a way of looking at things. Yeah.
That actually helps to level up the consciousness as well. To ask, to
Yeah.
ask whys.
Mm-hmm. Here's another question. When do you feel truly alive?
Hmm.
Could it be maybe your
When
hobbies? Mm-hmm.
that's yeah. When I think when I'm driven by something, it can be anything because it can be like I can just take a challenge from something, just make up a challenge for myself and
Uh-huh.
start working on it, and I will be driven by that. Or yeah, or hobbies as well. Like hobbies definitely make me feel alive, especially when you do something and you kind of like see the progress
Uh-huh.
and you see that you're getting good at it, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes you really feel great.
So when there's a challenge, you feel you feel like you have some form of purpose, and that makes you feel real in return.
Yeah, yeah.
Likewise.
What about you?
Yeah, same. I think even our ancestors too. Like I always go back to my caveman ancestors because humans really haven't changed too much. Like I think about our emotions, our form of how we utilize tools. I mean, in our modern era, I feel like it's much harder. Sometimes I feel like tools are enslaving us, but I want to believe that those they had a sense of protecting like their tribe. I always go back to it, protecting like the tribe. They have some type of challenge. They have so many external dangers in the world. You know, oh my gosh, is this mushroom gonna kill my family? Is this like I have to watch out for this exact time? This is when I could get my chicken. I don't know how they're hunting techniques, but I try to imagine uh, like how when they felt real, but it was probably something related to like providing, sense of providing and having a challenge that they needed to like overcome. And we could create almost infinite games in our days, like with work and just pursuing wonderful ideas. So I think so. I think we could create our own games and that provides meaning and make us feel
That
real.
provides meaning to life as well, actually.
Yeah.
Coming back to our second or
Mm-hmm.
third question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You ready? To know thyself is the root of much of philosophy. With that in mind, what are the most important things to learn about oneself? So let's say we are having a chat with maybe a 5 or 6 year old, and we get to have the privilege to tell them what are the most important things to learn about oneself. What would it be?
Mm, I don't know.
You don't think there's a couple important things that, how about yourself, like actual realization? There must have been moments where, like, oh my gosh, I learned about this about myself, and it makes me feel more aligned with my values. But for me, I feel like it would.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll be thinking.
Yeah, I was. For me, it would be desires. So if I, like, when I felt like I had more self control or felt more in order, was when I, like, really got the time um, to think about what I desire in my life. Like, what do I really want to do? And like I talked about this before, that in Buddhism they talk about how one of the philosophy is that desire is the root of all suffering, and I really resonate with that because I have so many needs, or so many, no, not needs, so many wants. Yeah, I have so many wants, like materialistic desires, like that probably being the main one, but like social needs, etc., etc. So if I were able to, the best way to know yourself is to really think about what you want in life, because then it reveals what you value, where your values lie, and then you could make decisions based upon that. But without that in check, you're just doing it for the sake of it. Like, I guess, like conforming to the environment and social norms that are already in place. But if you allow desires to serve you, then it makes you feel like as if you're heading towards a kind of a on a never ending journey to know yourself truly.
Have it ever happened to you that you ask yourself, what do I want really in life? What are my desires? And you just don't have an answer to that?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I was definitely there for a long time. I think most people really don't even get the chance to. Maybe through life experiences, like so much thing that they have to catch up on, like real life stuff, paying bills. You gotta work, so maybe they don't even get the privilege and chance to seek that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot your question. What was it?
Now ask like if it ever happened to you that you don't know the answer to the question, what do
Yeah.
you want, what do you desire in your
Mhm.
life?
And I think that's okay. It's okay to not have anything, any desires at the moment. It's okay. Like, again, everybody
You
progresses at different rates, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you must be willing to at least like seek out change and not be too close-minded. I think, yeah, that killed me. That took away, like, that probably lost a lot of my time. But since I kind of recognize that now, I I want to spread, or I want to like share the importance of like openness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I may ask another question, you said that you like lost your time, and I wonder, like when we say that we lost time, did we really lost it, or we actually gained something from it, some experiences that can help out?
I mean, of course. Do you think then all experiences are equal though?
That's a good question.
Because I say in terms of like lost time, as in, I guess like making the best out of the resources that you have granted. But I took advantage of. I didn't utilize it, and like therefore I've made a lot of decisions that I'm not so happy about. But of course, like they're valuable because now I learned, but I could always go back to that self, or so. Yeah, it's constant. It's a constant balance. But I say lost time because it's not the experiences that I want currently. So yeah, that's how I define. like lost time.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
Okay. You want to talk about universe and reality? Here we go. You're not too sure? Okay, what do you think? Okay, we're going like crazy UFO talk, alien talk. This is all welcome. What do you think existed before the universe was created? What do you think? So there's in time, there's a after like the Big Bang was created, there's a certain time frame, maybe millions or thousands or billions of years, I forgot, that can't be defined by science. And even before like Big Bang, we don't really know, right? Like I play around with the idea maybe there are like I look at some of the animals that just look so intriguing. Like ostriches, for example, they're like what are they? A dinosaur, a chicken? What's going on over there? Maybe it's ostriches. They were dancing together, and then a Big Bang happened. Who knows? So I like to just play around with the idea. Like, what do you think existed before the universe was created? What do you think? It could be
And
either
I
in a
don't,
creative aspect, or maybe you could think of it as in like, maybe like there's a bunch of sparks that I created, and this was the one where life was suitable, and therefore there were certain thresholds for me to be in my current state. How do you interpret it?
uh, wait, I actually didn't catch up with the last thing you said about in something integration something. What was it?
Integration? We're talking about
No.
math?
No.
Um,
I probably misheard it. I didn't heard it correctly. But anyways,
uh-huh.
never mind. I think what was before the the nothing,
Nothing.
emptiness.
So what is nothing? What is nothing?
I have no idea. This is something that humans brain can't comprehend. It's something that
Okay.
it's we don't, because like what I see in my mind when I think of nothing,
Uh-huh.
it's something black, because when I close my eyes,
Mhm.
it's nothing kind of.
Okay.
But I mean, before the Big Bang, there were no colors, no anything, so it's not black.
I mean, isn't it I heard somewhere that our brain, like our perception of reality could be like an illusion for others, like in ways that, like the way our eyes are actually connected to our brains. So like our eye is part of the brain. Like I forgot some neuroscientist was talking about, but like you can't really define color, can you? So to even relate nothing with black, that there must be something to that. Like black has some type of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just playing around with the idea that does color have meaning? Does color have definitions? Maybe because it allows us to feel. Do you think so? Do you think colors have emotions?
Colors, you mean what? In perception of human beings?
Yeah.
Does it have emotions?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because we have our favorite colors, for example.
Uh-huh. But how do you know that's your favorite? Is it because you saw it repeatedly, or you see it in things that you also enjoy? Where does that come from? Where does that desire come from?
That's a great question. I have no idea answer to that, but
Huh. Is it maybe
that's,
because someone you likes the color? Like I don't know where the basis of that desire comes from.
yeah, I definitely know that I had my favorite color from childhood.
Okay, I used
So
to
if
like blue because other boys loved blue, and I was like, blue is my color. I gotta defend it. But then that kind of changed. Pink. I was messing with pink. Pink goes pretty hard. Um, so yeah, I don't know where it comes from actually. Hmm. What was your childhood favorite color?
blue.
Blue.
But
Wow.
yeah, but
Going
yeah,
against the
it
norm.
still is actually.
Mm.
It didn't change. Now it's getting more into black, but I like dark blue color, like very rich dark blue color.
I see.
But I think that it comes from my father's favorite color. So I guess that he said one time that his favorite color is blue, and I'm like, I kind of love my father, so maybe I should just pick this
There's
color.
some sentimental value to that
Yeah.
kind of passed down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so what do you think existed before? So you were saying nothing. So when you close your eyes, you see black, but that's probably not even nothing. You can't even comprehend what was before. But if we try to attempt to, that's what humans do. We're very curious creatures. If you could let your mind attempt to understand or play around with, what do you think existed before?
I mean, I can't be as
Okay.
creative as you are because you were telling about some animals, but then in my
I mean, that's not creative. I'm creating something. I'm putting something in our current world and then putting them above um, the creation of the universe. I don't think that's creative at all. But
no, but still, I mean, still, you put some imagination into that, and you're basically putting something from our world to something that existed before it. So I can't do that because to my sense it doesn't make sense. So
yeah. I mean, I think any of the stuff we're saying right now, it shouldn't be making sense, right?
Okay,
But it's fun to play around with. I think that's the point. I mean,
actually, sometimes I can't hear you like very, very well. Sometimes it
oh
goes
really?
like, yeah,
My bad. Is that better?
I don't know, but I'll let you know if something
Okay.
is wrong.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now I could hear myself. Whew, that's gonna be painful. All right, I lost my train of thought. Oh, right, the James Webb Telescope. Isn't that? I don't know if you've heard about it, but we launched some really cool telescope that is going to help us understand, take some really cool pictures, and I think reverse time. Not reversing time literally, but know more about our past. So, if somehow we create like a machine or technology to understand the beginning of the universe, imagine how crazy that would be. Or even finding
Yeah.
aliens. Oh, I want to talk about aliens. How does your perception of aliens look like?
That they are they are just they exist somewhere.
No.
There.
I want to know
And
what.
what
Okay,
was
when I
it?
say the word alien, there must be some type of image that is. I wonder if it's like the same.
Oh, now I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me at all.
Now I can.
Okay. Well, that's weird. I don't know why my mic's not picking up. But so when I say the word alien, there must be a certain form of image. I don't know
Yeah.
if you watch a lot of films or a lot of, I don't know what you consume, but I usually I've my my image of an alien has shifted over time. And that's like a really small miniature creature at the moment, because like how our computers used to be super big, and through processing like we've figured out how to, like cell phones, it's like a mini computers, and the processing power, it has been smaller, getting smaller and smaller. I mean, processing power has been gotten bigger, but then the physical size has gotten smaller. So I think aliens are like miniature creatures, but they're super powerful, and there must be some advantages to that. That's what I think at the moment. But I want to know what an alien looks like in your mind. Is it big head, veins popping out? Do they levitate? How do they look like? Do you play around with the idea of aliens at all? Am I just
Yeah, sometimes
yeah?
I do.
Yeah?
Sometimes I do. Yeah, usually I somehow see them as very weird,
Uh-huh.
but kind of like beautiful women.
Beautiful woman.
Yeah, yeah. So like Nefertiti, something like that.
Okay. So like a Greek god?
Around that. Yeah,
Around.
around that.
Okay.
No. I mean like something very beautiful, even to our sight, but yet different from how we look.
Uh.
It's not animals or something like that. Not some monsters, not some creatures, but something alike, but not entirely.
Huh. What if they're completely opposite? They're completely ugly. They got like horns growing back. They got like three noses. They got boogers coming out. They're drooling all over. I don't know what disgusting, what the opposite of beauty would be, but it's the complete opposite. Like all of the like intriguing features that you wouldn't expect. That's what an alien is. Would you be? Would you be? Do you think if the appearance of an alien, like whether if it's beautiful or not, would make you more attracted to learn about them? So let's say they're not beautiful, like the idea, like what the thing you're playing around in your mind. would you still be interested in learning about aliens to the same degree, or probably not?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't know why though, but it just like it came into my mind that it's probably not, because if it's something beautiful,
Uh huh.
I just want to know more about it somehow. Just,
Huh.
but if it's something ugly, I think I just like subconsciously scared of it,
Oh.
and that it might be something dangerous, and that it's something that I shouldn't touch. It's something that I
Okay.
shouldn't go for.
That's so intriguing. Huh. I don't know. Yeah. I think
Do you think a lot like about how they might look,
no, I
or
don't. Not really. I'm just more curious of the interaction between the two. Yeah, I think maybe like I, of course, have like my insecurities, but like my negative emotions are just towards like an ugly thing. It's just my insecurity, like being reflected upon. But I want to, if it even is ugly, I want to put out my hand, see what's going on inside that brain or whatever's going inside that mess, and I bet it's beautiful. I bet inside it's beautiful. Yeah, my kind of like a pineapple, you know. It's super thorny on the outside, very spiky, but on the inside it's very juicy, very delicious. I don't know why I use the word delicious, but all right. Anyway, what in life is truly objective and not subjective?
not what?
What in life is truly objective and not subjective? So we've been talking about beauty, right? You think beauty is objective or subjective? A little bit of both.
Little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like nature,
Exactly.
nature, mountains, ocean, whatever, it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, and everyone will think that it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything, what comes to nature, it's beautiful by default, so it's objectively beautiful. But what comes to, like, for example, how human beings look, that
Mhm.
is very subjective.
Mm-hmm. Are there any negative? I don't. Maybe it's the romanticism of nature that we give to Mother Nature that it's all beautiful. But don't you think there are some not so beautiful things about nature? What are some not so beautiful things about nature that you're like, huh? Why does this exist?
Some insects, for example.
Insects,
In, yes.
but
Some,
their function is
like,
beautiful, no?
their function
For
is,
example, worms. Oh, that's different. We're looking at
yeah,
purely
that's
just appear.
different.
Okay, okay, right.
Yeah,
Appearance
the
wise, okay. How about viruses too? Viruses, they're
yeah.
they look. I don't know if you looked at it, a picture of it. It's just it looks like a spider with like some. It just looks dangerous. It's like you do not want to mess with that. But
Or
yeah,
like some worms also.
worms also. Uh, y- worms are not that. Worms are quite beautiful. They're symmetrical, and they have. Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, it's like a maybe on that because I don't like slimy stuff.
Okay, so now we're coming to the point that even nature
Uh huh.
is very much subjective.
No, no, I don't. I depends on your perspective, but I think that there is value to patterns like repeated things. For example, I think it's called the golden symmetry, like the snail,
Yeah.
like those patterns that could be repeated. That's also shown in like leaves, for example, um, like water droplets. Actually, no, not water droplets, but like certain patterns that could be repeated like all around the world. I think that it's in itself like even the spherical shape of Earth, like, whew, it is beautiful. Like it objectively is beautiful, but subjectively, in my perspective, I think, it, as you were saying, like certain characteristics, it may not be as appealing. Do you think it's important to have both objectivity and subjectivity, What's the importance behind that? Why does it matter that there are subjectivity? Is it the opportunity that we get to push our ideas or our opinions?
I guess sometimes it helps to define.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it helps to define and maybe look a bit from a different perspective on any kind of problem, because we tend to think of it subjectively and maybe sometimes put even our own feeling of guilt into something. But maybe if we look to this problem particularly objectively, it can be caused by some objective things happened. And if we consider that, it might just be a relief for oneself. Understand the core of the problem then. It's not subjective, it's objective actually.
Huh.
Understand what I'm saying? Not sure if I do understand what I'm saying.
No. But I think you came to the conclusion that subjectivity leads to objectivity?
No. No.
No? Oh, okay, I got lost.
No, I guess it's very hard for me to explain actually what I'm trying to say here.
Could there be an example maybe? Examples usually really
I'm trying to come up with a yeah, it's like, well, like this objectivity and subjectivity is very important in terms of like opinion making and decision making. It's important right there.
Opinion making and decision making. Okay, so opinion making is purely subjective, right? And then decision making is...
Decision making is, I mean, it can be subjective, it can be objective.
It's a little bit of both, right? Because you're trying to get a
Yes.
certain definite goal, but you're also hopefully implementing like your will into it. So the value is that it gives you maybe even more, it leads to more complexities, different perspective, new ways.
Different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here's a question. There has always been something. Before there was something, there was only nothing. Which do you think is more likely? So this goes back to like the Big Bang. Before there was something, there was nothing. Or that there has always been something. Even before nothing, was there something? What is nothing?
What is something? Everything?
No, not everything. It's something. Come on. It can't be everything. It's nothing. Wait, what am I saying? Okay, let's try to define everything, nothing, and something. Let's start with the easiest one, I feel like, which is everything. What is everything?
Everything is everything what we have in our world right now.
Okay. Okay, we got a definition for that. What is something?
I don't know.
You don't know what something is?
Do you?
I think so.
Okay.
It consists of a part of everything.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is nothing? Something that's not in our reality?
Something that is not in our something.
You can't use something. You can't use something or everything within the definition of nothing, can you? Or I think I did.
Okay.
No, we can. Let's say we can, because that makes me a hypocrite. Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Something.
Is something. Our brain can't comprehend.
But that's like that's the easiest way to like give ourselves an escape, you know? Nothing has to be something. Wait. No, that doesn't make sense.
Nothing is nothing. Nothing can't have something inside of it because nothing is literally emptiness. But what is emptiness? Emptiness is also something.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What's the value of nothing? is that you could have something. No. This is some wordplay we're getting into. But I think there's value to it. We're giving it meaning by trying to work around what it is. So nothing is itself a state.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a state.
It's a state. It's a state is a constant?
Yes.
Okay. So nothing is a state of constancy. No. It's a state of being constant. Nothing is a state of being constant. Something is a part of everything, and everything is
the entire world.
The entire world. Okay. Huh. Now I learned 3 new words today.
What was the question?
The question was, there has always been something. Before there was something, there was only nothing. Which do you think is more likely? Okay, so there was always
Is it the question that before nothing there was something?
Before there was something, there was only nothing. So the question is, there has always been something, or that there was only nothing, and then something arise from nothing.
I mean, something arises from nothing. Big Bang, now we have everything.
But what if there was something before the Big Bang?
Could be.
Or some people
I'm
say that
always
it's
like kind of curious about those kind of questions because they don't lead to anything though.
Yeah.
It's just subjective perspective.
Maybe we will have the technology to kind of have more information to answer that question. We'll see. All right. Now we're going to be talking about the human mind, the consciousness, and intelligence. Oh, and by the way, how do you define intelligence as?
Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ability to behave in a certain way, which kind of makes the best out of the situation.
Ability to behave to make the best decision possible. That kind of aligns with Maria's definition. Maria over.
Yeah?
Yeah, Maria was talking about how intelligence is not how smart or how much knowledge you have, but it's the ability for you to adapt in whatever environment you're in. That is true intelligence. And that's like sticking with me. What you kind of said, it's a little similar. Intriguing. All right, here we go. Is it possible that some animals are self-aware and think about their ability to think? Whoa, what did I just read? Is it possible that some animals are self-aware and think about their ability to think? Oh, okay, I get it.
Can you repeat it once again, please?
Yes. Is it possible that some animals are self-aware and think about their ability to think? So let me ask you this. Has there been a moment where you like unlock your thinking skills? Like there definitely was for me. I talked about this before, but I realized that I there was an inner voice inside me. And then I started questioning, whoa, I hear myself. And then I went on a self-perpetuating cycle. Like, okay, I'm thinking now. Okay, what is making these thoughts? Why am I thinking? Okay, now I this is too much. I don't want any of it. I don't want to hear this anymore. So I stopped. But I couldn't stop. It was constantly talking to me. And I was like, dude, these voices in my head I'm going crazy. But that was like the first step. I still remember it because that whole week I was just talking to myself. And I think this was around in like middle school. Do you remember that? Like when you heard your inner voice? No?
Mm, I I I was always talking to myself
Oh.
from how.
Like I could think of you like as a newborn baby. It's like, oh shit, what a world!
Well, so as far as I can remember, as I can remember, I was
Uh-huh.
always talking to myself, like not talking
Uh-huh.
maybe, but at least like having not imagination, but like always questioning something. I
Mm.
just always was questioning something. Yeah. So it wasn't a moment for me that I
Uh-huh.
realized that I can actually explore it and talk more to myself.
Mm.
It was just always with me.
Yeah, but like there hasn't there been a moment that you were thinking about your ability to think? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I got what you mean. I think, yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's a little different from inner voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, is it uh, when you acknowledge
Uh-huh.
the fact that you can think
Uh-huh.
inside of your head and you can ask whys,
Uh-huh.
is it equal to conscious? Is it
So
consciousness
in that
equal?
sense, can't anyone do it then? Like anybody can learn to be conscious, right?
Right.
Using okay. Yeah, I think so. I think everybody can learn consciousness.
By acknowledging the voice inside of their head.
Yeah.
And what if they don't have a, what if they, some people don't have the voice in their head. Some people think
Mm-hmm.
in pictures or something like that. And some people don't think, or well, they think, but they don't have this. Like I was reading about it that not everyone has an like inner voice or constant thinker inside of their brain, and it doesn't equal to consciousness.
And you talked about thinking through images?
Yeah.
But even those people who maybe do not have like maybe blindness, maybe deafness, don't you think those people still have the ability to learn consciousness? Maybe through asking questions?
Yeah, probably. Hard to say.
Uh-huh.
If they never saw anything in the world,
Mm-hmm.
can they imagine anything? What is their imagination then? Because it's not biased. They have the whole new universe in their inside of their brain. If they can like be imaginative.
Right. Do you think I agree with you that imagination is biased to those who have the abilities, right? Then how do you think maybe I do have to study a little more about the lives of maybe um, how about these artists like Helen Keller, for example, or what's his name? There's like a beautiful artist who's blind, Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Like those imagination. Where does that arise from? Isn't that from the mind?
It is from the mind, which though can be biased by the external.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. But I think, don't you think maybe because they don't have certain abilities that we take for granted, that gives them even more power to develop the skills that on certain senses? So, for example, if I weren't able to see, I would have to rely more on my nose, my taste, and my hearing skills, and maybe those skills are like enhanced. Even if I had like no features at all, then would I be really living? Would I really? So without the ability to have inputs, I wonder if you could really experience anything. Like in a way, we're just all chemicals. Like without certain chemicals that are like constantly working, breaking down inside our bodies every single day,
But
trillions of them. Without them, we'd just be dead, right? So we're constantly working. But if without their abilities, without their mechanisms, I don't think we would be considered alive.
we still have our brain,
Right.
which even if it doesn't receive
Mm-hmm.
information from sight, touch, etc., still can probably produce something, can it?
I mean,
Uh,
isn't
without
it?
it probably can't.
I think you need. This is confusing because you could have all the thoughts you want, but you won't ever know something that you don't, right? Your thoughts, it only talks about something it knows. It never talks about something it doesn't know. So in a way, you need external influences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just making me appreciate like all the senses that we do have for
Do.
granted, because it is biased against those who may not have those inputs as well. But I'm sure that they have their own methods of receiving if they desire to, and I really believe in it. Whoa. Yeah. Where were we? Where? Right. Ability to think. Do you think? Do you think some animals are self-aware?
I should study that to answer. It might. What about gorillas?
Yeah, we talked about. Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
chimpanzees. I keep on repeating myself, but I told this story before where in a zoo, you can look this up, like they had stones so that the zookeeper wouldn't see them, and then when the zoo opened up and people were coming in to see them, he would the chimpanzee, it was chucking. So it was already pre-planned, right? I don't know if I'm pretty sure that was self-awareness, right? Because you're aware that you are concealing it so that the zookeeper doesn't see it, and it's their way of communication is also through throwing feces or their poop at each other. Like how amazing is that? So I think they are self-aware, but I'm not sure if they have the ability to think that they're thinking. I'm not too sure.
Probably not, because that's the difference between us and animals. To think that we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what actually makes us different from them.
But can you also imagine maybe in thousands and thousands of years, they develop consciousness? Because we must have developed consciousness too at one point, right? Over
Yeah.
billions and no, hundreds of thousands of years that humans have been alive. I think it's around a couple hundreds of thousands of years, right? That humans have existed, Homo sapiens.
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh my gosh. What if gorillas could one day talk? Like develop consciousness? I mean, our DNA is 98%. I mean, we're 50% DNA, like banana.
I mean, they might. They
So
might.
But yeah, I'm truly incompetent in talking about like like
Yeah.
the evolution
Yeah,
stages.
yeah.
But so I'm just, but I would love either giraffes, monkeys, gorillas, wolves, any animal to develop consciousness. That would be so crazy. That would be, especially sea animals too. Like getting to hear like their experiences in like a domain that we don't really enter too much. Like we don't know much about the ocean, and I mean we're trying to escape even Earth, but it would be so cool. It would be so cool. And I think our level of connection within like different animals, it will definitely deepen. Hmm. But why Homo sapiens? Out of all really cool creatures, why Homo sapiens got the ability to have consciousness? Why not giraffes? Hmm.
There's definitely an answer to that, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's chance. Wouldn't it be chance? Or do you think there's like a scientific or like a reasoning that could be
I
testable?
think there's
That,
a scientific
yeah?
reason
Hmm.
to that.
All right. If there's any scientists out there, let us know. All right. How would you define genius? What is a genius? What is genius?
Genius is someone who have entirely different perspective on things, I guess.
Okay. For me, I define genius as someone who is able to synthesize information that has never done before, that hasn't been,
Yeah.
and taking implementation upon that. That I think is truly genius. If I say the word genius, who's like the first person or anyone that comes into your mind?
Musicians.
Musicians?
Yeah.
So is there some like form of admiration to
Yeah.
defining genius? Because yeah. For me, I like when I think about geniuses, I'm like I deeply respect the amount of the efforts it took. Not only the efforts, but just truly. I don't know. I want to make it sound very wonderful, but I don't think I could capture the amount of respect in words. Hmm. All right. Here's another one. There's a zero chance that all your firmly and dearly held beliefs are true. So, which beliefs are most likely to be wrong and which are most liable to be true?
Once again, the first part?
There's a zero chance that all your firmly and dearly held beliefs are true. So, which beliefs are you most likely to be wrong and which are most liable to be true?
I mean, kind of interesting question because if it's a belief,
Mm-hmm.
you believe in it 100% that it's true. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it in your system of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, probably beliefs. What are my beliefs? Believe in what? Do I believe in what? Well, for example, I've been thinking before that you can achieve much more by cooperation with others, with human beings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were actually talking that by default we don't really want to cooperate with others. Is that correct? We would rather steal everything what they have. and just have it for our own sake.
Doesn't that depend on like your values?
But the beliefs? Or
So, okay, I guess I'm a little confused. So,
yeah.
what about the idea of cooperation? Like the idea that if I take from you rather than cooperating, like how does belief play into that example?
No, I just like, for example, one of my beliefs is that everything what you can uh like okay, so my belief was that people are not cruel by default,
Okay.
and that they would rather cooperate with others, and that they have this sense of cooperation in themselves by default.
Okay.
That was my belief.
Uh-huh.
But then we were talking
Mm-hmm.
that it might not be entirely true,
Mm-hmm.
because if to choose, a person might rather just take what other possess to himself.
Right.
So I'm just saying that maybe this belief is my belief, my original belief is not right.
Okay.
Maybe.
So that's something that you would not be 100% through testable. Like if it's testable and that it could be proven wrong, then it's not a like a firm belief. That's correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think same. I think any positions that I believe I'm right in, I think it's wrong. And like what's really dangerous is for me to be married with my like ideologies and like believing that like I have it figured out, because I truly don't. Like none of the stuff I say is concrete. Well, you need a foundation. There needs to be certain foundations that you could build upon, and maybe that's principles and values you live up to. But I think can't you can't be too tied to your beliefs. But if it's a testable belief that can be repeated over and over again, maybe that could be considered as, truth for you. It's not a belief anymore. It's maybe almost a fact. But the fact always has to remain testable. If not, it's kind of pointless. Like it doesn't serve utility for other people. I think that's why principles and values are so important, because it has been tested through time and experience, and you could kind of lend it to other people as well.
So that's the difference between beliefs and principles and values.
Mm-hmm.
Principles and values can be tested throughout the time, and beliefs,
it's something that I think could be more personal. But beliefs in itself is so powerful because it allows you to do things that you wouldn't have otherwise. For example, I believe, like, if I believe that there was a God that's going to save me, that, let's say I do something crazy. Let's say I'm going to jump off actually no. Yeah, why not? Let's say I'm going to jump off like a really high skyscraper, and I truly believe that something is going to save me. Something is going to swoop up and I'm going to be saved. Like there is no right, sane person that will do that willingly. Like there's no principles that says jump off a bridge and you will, like that you can't test that. Like that's been testably wrong. But as long as you have like faith in this higher deity or something that you provide meaning, you give meaning to, then you will do it. You will. So it has so much power, and you could utilize it hopefully into making decisions that increase your survivability, not decreasing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. Did we answer the question? Okay, so that one is something that's most likely wrong. Which ones are most liable to be true? What are some of the beliefs that are true?
I don't think I ever even thought that I have any beliefs. It's so hard for me to come up with any. I somehow always was thinking about my values, my principles, okay, but beliefs. Like if I don't believe in God,
Right.
that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So what other examples of beliefs? I somehow probably just don't understand it.
No, I think religion is probably the most common and biggest one. Other examples of belief.
Maybe
It could even be like
in
small superstitions. Like maybe you have like a lucky pencil that you do on your exams.
those
It could
kind
be,
of stuff.
yeah. It could. It doesn't always have to be
Yeah, those all
so big.
superstitious stuff definitely not. In.
Or something that could be true is the idea that your values are correct, right? Like, for example, you
Mm.
stated that helping others or speaking the truth, like that's like a belief that you have, right? That I
Now I'm
believe,
mixing up it with I believe that everyone should say the truth.
right?
Say.
So that
Uh,
is that not true? Like you don't believe that everyone should say the truth, or you don't believe that everyone by default is good? Isn't
no,
that wasn't that your belief?
I don't think so. Like
No.
no,
Okay.
no, I don't believe that everyone have to or have to say the truth all the time. It's just like all about like values are abstract, right? So it's more about that you try to be truthful to yourself and to others. But I don't believe that everyone should do that or that I should do that constantly all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
But I believe can be in equality, for example.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe in equality?
Depends
So it's like
which field.
there's nothing like that's permanent. That's like true for you that you could think of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's okay. Maybe we'll
No,
come
I
back
don't
to it.
have any. Yeah.
How much does language affect our thinking? So, you told me that you spoke 3 languages. Is that correct? What three
Yes.
languages were they?
Czech language, Russian, and English.
And how does that affect your way of communicating with others?
Oh, that very much affects.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think that every time when a person switched from one language to another, the whole personality changes right there, right now. You can even hear it by the tone of the voice of this person,
Mm.
and the way I think is different. And I know that in brain it actually. No, I'm not gonna make a sentence with it because no. But what's important is that I'm thinking in different languages depending on a situation. If during the day I was studying the whole time in Czech language, I come home and I will reflect on that, and I will think in my mind in Czech. Or if I had a communication with my best friend in English, for example, then when I analyze it, I will be thinking in English and trying to come up with some ideas in English. So it definitely makes a big impact.
Mm.
And also, languages have a big impact because of, I think, like, since social media is all in English, also make a very big impact on how I think because of the fact that I know the English.
Which one is your fastest like language? If that makes sense. Like you said, you reflect. Like which one is the one that you feel most confident in? I guess to best expressing yourself and why.
Well, Russian because it's my native,
Mm.
but sometimes English. Sometimes really English is better for me. Like if I journal sometimes, for me to talk about relationships somehow is much easier in English than in Russian.
Do you think there is confinements to language? Like maybe the way you feel that English is easier is maybe you could express how you feel like a little bit better. So what are the constraints of Russian, you think? Or English?
What are
Vice versa.
constraints?
Constraints is like a limiter on your capabilities to convey a message.
I think it depends on the experiences.
And how
Like
so?
if I
Uh
did
huh.
So for example, like if I didn't, easy example, like I've been studying, for example, microeconomics in Czech language.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I literally can't uh, say anything about microeconomics in Russian. I mean, I can by translating, which is usually bad, uh, but the only way I can actually express myself fully
Uh-huh.
will be in Czech language,
I see.
in the language that I learned it.
I see.
And it's the same with people. I wouldn't be able to talk about someone with whom I usually speak in English in Russian. I wouldn't be able to tell the whole picture about this person, about his or her personality, if we were communicating in English with him or her.
Mm. Why is that? Is it maybe because, let's say you have another person that you know that speaks both three of those languages that you also like know. Do you think it'll be harder, or I feel like you could know more about the person by practicing all those three languages, don't you think? Because there are constraints of certain languages that you could kind of explore and provoke upon.
And once again, the question.
Don't you think that you will better understand others if you practice like both like three of those languages to fill up kind of like the blind spots of each language, because you
Oh,
get even a fuller picture, although it may be
yeah.
uncomfortable, because I kind of do that with my brother and my cousin. We kind of do a little bit of both, because I'm not really too good at expressing the emotions with in Korean, because I had to kind of suppress it for a long time. So it's much easier for me to speak and reflect using English. So but I also mix Korean as well. So
So you think that there is like a correlation why you don't express your feelings in Korean because you were suppressing them
no, I
some
think it's
time ago, or what?
yeah, yeah. I just had to, um, like not, yeah, had to kind of like not, kind of like be like toughen up a little, and then I guess I didn't really practice it too much. But I think I'd be willing
Mm.
to, yeah, definitely articulate myself more using like different languages, because I think it's a way for me to practice like something that's uncomfortable, but also a way of expressing myself a little more, and fill in for like the gap that English doesn't fully maybe provide. But how do you think that language affects your thinking? You talked about reflection. So is your do you feel like more rich in a way in certain language? Like you feel like you extract more information? That doesn't make sense, huh? So you said like your native language is the easiest, right?
Hmm.
The most efficient. So would you also say that maybe learning a certain subject in Russian would be much better than like learning it in Kazakh?
Like, um, no, I mean, I mean, what's the goal behind it? If I know that I wouldn't use it in Russian in any possible case, then why would I even try to learn it in Russian? I mean, I can't do that in English, so that I will fill my gap of this particular subject in English, but not in Russian, definitely. But how does it affect my thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I think uh, somehow I think that knowing more languages makes you more intelligent person. I don't know how to explain why do I think so. I just like intuitively think that way, that people who know more languages, they have more flexible brain, and they have an ability to be more flexible in situations. I don't know, I just kind of feel that.
Flexible as in like creativity, or just adapting to the whatever environment they're in?
About adapting as well, I think, yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, the way they learn, I think, it also very much, it has a very big impact. It's like your brain is more flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like learning another skill. Yeah, I think so. All right. Here's another question. Okay, this is a little long, so I'll repeat this. Is the concept of you continuous, or does past you continually fade into present and future you? In other words, what part of you sticks around over time, considering the atoms that you make up your body are constantly being replaced and your memories are always changing?
Sorry.
Bless you.
Thanks. So, the the first part was there. Is it me continuously do what?
Or does past you continually fade into present and future you?
I think it's the past one.
The first one?
The past me
Uh-huh.
continually flows into me now.
Mm-hmm. And the future you as well?
And the future me as well. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, our past me is me. It's all my experiences and memories, mistakes, and everything that I hold. And it influences the way I think now, and it will definitely influence the way I think in the future.
I agree. But what part of you do you think sticks over time?
I think,
knowing that we change.
I think that the one that was in a childhood, when we were kind of like free minds and creative and brave, and just like that, you were not influenced by anything yet. Well, still influenced, but not as much by the world.
You think
that one?
You think that resides, like, certain characteristics before all the influences still stick with us over time?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
What are those characteristics for you?
I don't know. I was actually about to explore that for myself, to know myself better. It's actually a very hard question to answer one to yourself. Like, what are those characteristics that you hold from your childhood? What is you? What is you? Who are you from there? It's even hard to memorize. Like, it's even hard to reflect that in your memory. What you were doing there, what you were playing with, how did you do that? Why would you do that?
So let me ask you this: What makes you you? How do you define you? Didn't you say it's experiences?
It's probably some default characteristics that I inherited, and so as a child, like, I was like that, and then an environment, external, and memories, experiences, which is actually equal to external, basically.
So you don't think there are, what you're saying is there are characteristics, you just can't think of them. It takes more reflection to figure out what your default is. Oh. And do you think there are limits to human creativity? For example, you've stated tell me about some of your hobbies and how that allows you to be creative.
The hobbies are singing and dancing, and how they, like with singing, it's amazing actually. With dancing too, but not as much. But with singing, I don't think there is an end to creativity at all. Because this creativity, you can actually create something from your experience. And since experiences are different, you can create every time something new.
Mm-hmm.
So with me and singing, it always goes like this. Whenever I experience something, uh, whenever I experience any kind of emotion
Mm-hmm.
influenced by particular experience, I can come up with a song about it. And I can express myself right there, right now, in a kitchen while I'm washing my dishes,
Huh. So,
and just saying something and just release it.
mm. So you're capturing the experience, like whatever you're feeling, and then you're making it, kind of documenting it through songs.
Yeah.
Huh. And there's no end to making experiences. There's no end to expressing yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I think limits are meant to be broken. Likewise, like same with rules. Maybe not like laws that's testable, but I think rules and limitations, it should be broken. All right, your perception of the world is just what your brain constructs for you from the signal sent by your senses. Plus, there's also a slight delay, so you aren't experiencing the simulation in real time. What would it be like if humans could perceive what the world is actually like and do it in real time? Also, what are the ramifications of every single person's reality being a little different and unique to them? So let's answer the first question first. So there's a slight delay, so you aren't experiencing the simulation in real time. What would it be like if humans can perceive what the world is actually like and do it in real time?
I mean, what would change?
What do you think would change?
Nothing would change. Why would everything change? There is only like a delay in time, like, let's say, tiny bit of a second.
Mm-hmm.
If we add it, so then there is nothing. Nothing will change. What will change? Nothing.
Because everybody would adapt to like that standard, do you think?
Yeah, everyone at the same time will be like shifted to the reality without any delay. So nothing will change.
What if if only you or move forward, so you get to experience in real time while everybody is still delayed? Would you continue that? Maybe you view it as like an advantage and whatever, however you utilize it, or would you adapt to the rest of 7 billion people, because that's what most people use by? Would you stick to your standard with almost like this living in real time, or would you adapt to the rest?
It's very hard to imagine that there are two timelines.
Yeah, it is, huh?
How would I use it, like even to my benefit? If I can't reverse the time, for example, then what? I'm just what?
What are the use
looking
cases?
At other people.
Yeah, I don't know what the use cases would that be. Like how fast? Okay, well, why don't we just give hypothetical like numbers? Let's say it's probably this is probably really over exaggerated, but for it to make like some utility, we'll say 3 seconds. So you're 3 seconds ahead. That delay is like caught up. Now think about, you have 3 extra seconds before everybody else like realizes. So how
is it extra? Is it extra?
What is yeah, I don't really know exactly how it would work, but I would assume that it would be like caught up, like catching up like 3 seconds. So like how I would think of it in a utility case would be, I say something and then like I have more time to process that. So my response would be much faster and much more fluid, I think. So maybe I could express myself a little better. That could be a utility.
Still, my brain can't really.
Yeah, grasp it. What are some other? Oh, maybe even in life or death situations, you know, there's like a train going by, or maybe you got some earbuds in and you're walking a street and there's a car coming by you, and then you have that like extra jolt, like you perceive it in real time a little bit. Yeah, I'm playing around with the concept of time. This is probably not accurate, but you know, it could give you a competitive advantage, like to survive,
Yeah, well, probably it can.
right?
In the way you're explaining it, apparently
Yeah,
it
I don't
can.
think. Yeah, I'm just. I don't think this is the right way. But if you could, but you're saying like it most likely wouldn't. I think this question is. Yeah, I don't think we completely understand like the use. If we need a utility case, I think we would better answer this question. Okay, how about this one? Since every single person's reality, oh, what are the ramifications of every single person's reality being a little different and unique to them? So, if you could think about like my reality is completely different from yours, right?
Mhm.
What's the importance of that?
The fact that your reality is different from mine.
Or like even like the results of that. What are the results or consequence of every single person's reality being a little different and unique to them?
The complexity of the world.
Yeah?
That's the result. Yeah. I mean, what else?
I think what we said earlier, like this is it gives us an opportunity to test or even go beyond like creativity, more opportunities, more chances of, yeah, as you said, like complexities to be created.
And when you say go beyond creativity, I don't even understand what you're meaning by that. Beyond creativity?
No, I don't think they're. I just wanted to, I guess, like exaggerate the meaning of like what humans are capable of doing. Like all of these
Okay,
words,
okay, okay.
yeah, it has meaning because we give it meaning. But I always like to, um, like push, you know, even the terms itself, like creativity. Let's go beyond that. What is beyond creativity?
All right, all right.
Right, something like that. To push it, to give it even more creativity. Okay. Is a sense of humor a byproduct of consciousness or something else entirely?
And the second part of the sentence?
Something else entirely. Is a sense of humor a byproduct or consciousness or something else entirely? Sense of humor.
Hmm.
When do you feel
Sense of
humor?
humor. Hmm. What is humor, though? What is-
Maybe it could be the chemicals that's going in, that's sparking inside your brain that, you know, this is good. This is funny. Or
How do you
maybe
know that?
it could be the sense of like poking fun, some of the absurdities, and just making it super simple, making something really complex really simple, doing complete opposites. A lot of things could be humorous for me. I mean, my sense of humor is quite twisted from many like people. I mean, I find things that is completely not funny, like absolutely hilarious. And what I say, like what I think is completely funny, it doesn't hit to a lot of people. But I think it derives from a mix of consciousness, but also like experiences as well. Like being able to joke around like the most serious things, like poking some fun and laughing at all the mess of it all, the complexity of it all. I think it brings me great joy. Yeah, you can't take yourself like way too seriously all the time. That brings me like joy. Making fun of things that you're not kind of like supposed to. What is not correct? I find that humorous. How about yourself?
pretty much the same.
Okay. And where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I think that sense of humor is something. It's a tool,
Okay.
something like a tool for us to be able to maybe even get over something,
Uh-huh.
just to make it easier for ourselves,
Yeah.
make it less complex, and to, yeah, minimize the damage of complexity in our stupid jokes.
Yeah. I think so. All right. Wait, we're talking a lot about intelligence. Here's another one. Are intelligence and happiness tied together in any way? If you're highly intelligent, is it more likely that you'll be more or less happy?
Yes, if you're more intelligent, that you're less happy.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, that's what people tend to say.
Yeah.
Although it also depends. How do we perceive it? I mean, but the fact that the more you know, the less you know
Mm-hmm.
at the end.
Okay.
And like for example, with psychology, it goes that way that the more you know about yourself, the worse it gets sometimes. Because sometimes you think like there is no end to that, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sometimes so scared of this universe, and it kind of makes you unhappy.
How so? Because you don't feel that you will ever understand?
Because you there's lack of control.
Okay. Yeah. I think everyone experiences that, though, right? I do. I surely, like, when I come to the realization that I'll never know enough, or I'll, like, but you could overcome those stages, right? By understanding that you are in control of how you react, like knowing that you won't know anything, like recognizing your incompetence and humility. I think a lot about like, I want to constantly remind myself that I don't know nothing. Like, the Dunning-Kruger effect is quite common, which is, like, most people who, like, says a lot, usually people overestimate what they know, and that could be tested through testing what you actually know, which is which could be done in, like, many different ways, like through exams. But what scares me is that I won't be able to express, like, if like, it's a really hard way to express what you know, but also practicing enough humility so that you're aware. How do I describe this? So the Dunning-Kruger effect, whatever what it is you overestimate what you know, and usually people who know stuff, they usually don't say, and people who know very little usually talks a lot. I talk a lot, so yeah, I know very little. But you have to be aware of that, and if you, with the right practice of self-awareness and humility and also confidence, I think you can utilize it to be, like, happy. But also, it's not always going to be happy, because it's a constant power battle between order and chaos, and the goal is, again, like, to make sure wherever platform you're standing between the yin and the yang, and it's to enlarge that platform. Talked about it before, and I really do think so. Yeah. How about yourself?
I
What do you think?
understand what you're saying.
You yeah.
No, I'm in process of I'm in process. My brain right now is a mess.
My bad.
What?
My bad. It could be.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was because of the day, but
Do you think? Okay, so you said in the beginning of our talk, you said the goal of life, as cliche as it sounds, it's to pursue happiness, right? Do
yes.
you define happiness more as maybe like an emotional standpoint, or more of a chemical standpoint, like certain like dopamine pleasure, like certain chemicals induced in our brain, or is it more than that? What is the happiness for you?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean,
Mm.
definitely, when you're around your loved ones, then you have like positive emotion, and then the question is, what causes positive emotions? It might be also caused by the serotonin or oxytocin, I think. Those are the hormones. So it's probably the mixture of everything. But somehow it's somehow I just feel that it's about a state. It's a general state of you. When I say happy, it doesn't mean that you're like, yeah, I'm so happy, and you like scream about it. It's actually, I think that the happiest people are very calm. They really express themselves in a very calm, humble way. They don't have any need to overreact to something. They really they can react to different situations
Mm-hmm.
using their conscious and intelligence, and therefore in general making the better decisions, and therefore in general have a state of calmness.
Yeah. And what is Anna's
What
way?
helps?
Oh, go ahead.
And of course, what helps here is that is support that you gain from your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a synergy basically.
Okay. And what is Anna's way of achieving happiness? That state, calm, peace of mind.
Just, just. Mm, I guess it's all about mindfulness.
Okay. Mindfulness
I
is the
think
key.
it's the key. I think it's really the key to it. It's really the key to everything possible. Because
Mm-hmm.
we don't have much control in our lives, anyways. That's at least something that gives us that.
Having control over ourselves, authority over ourselves. Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think there's no better way than wrapping off our conversation here. We just did 2 hours, so that's insane. It's a long time, but I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Anna. I appreciate it. And um, are there any last thoughts you want to wrap us off on?
Oh, I just really want to share my appreciation for this.
Yeah. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.